Hey, fifth graders. This next lesson is going to be specifically about angles and types of triangles. It is very vocabulary heavy, so please pay very careful attention to these vocabulary terms and their meanings, and I'll try and come up with some ways that you can remember what each one means. But I think you've been seeing these since, maybe second, third, fourth grade, so hopefully these aren't brand new to you, but we'll review them regardless. Angles are measured in what we call degrees and are formed by the intersection of two lines or arms. The point where the two line segments or arms meet is called the vertex, and we talked about that in the polygon lesson where the vertex is where those straight line segments meet. So let's go ahead. This is one arm here, this is another arm here. This would be measured in degrees. This is the angle, and that's the angle in degrees that's formed by these two arms. And this is what we call the vertex. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more specifically about types of angles and how big they might be, and there are some really special ones. So a right angle, which I hope you have heard of before, is an angle whose measure is equal to 90 degrees. We see right angles all around us. The wall connecting to your floor of your house makes a right angle. It makes a 90-degree angle. Right angles are very sturdy and strong, and so that's why you see them a lot. So they're very special types of angles. So this, I'm going to go ahead and kind of put arrows on these line segments. The symbol for a 90-degree angle is this little box. That indicates that it's 90 degrees. The degree symbol is a little circle in the upper right-hand corner. An acute angle is an angle whose measure is less than 90 degrees. The way I remember this is I think about the word cute is in acute, and this is just by coincidence. This isn't on purpose. And I think about, oh, cute little things. And so acute angles are cute little angles. So they are less than 90 degrees. Obtuse angles measure greater than, they're more than 90 degrees, but also have to be less than 180 degrees. They cannot be larger than the 180 degrees or even equal to the 180 degrees, because that would constitute it as a straight angle or a line. So this is an obtuse angle. It's really big, and it's larger than a 90-degree angle. And the last one is a straight angle, and it is equal to 180 degrees. So it is just a straight line. So if we were to kind of demonstrate the angle, it's 180 degrees. All right, so let's go ahead and name these types of angles. It's just practice and applying what we just learned. So this is definitely less than a 90-degree angle. So this is acute. This looks approximately right, and I wish this example had that bar that, that little square there. That definitely looks like a right angle. And this one is really big, but it's not completely laid flat, so this is obtuse. So these are four vocabulary words you're definitely going to need to know for this unit. All right, let's use these angles to help us classify some types of triangles. And we're also going to use their side measures to help us classify them as well. So remember, tri means three. Triangles are three-sided polygons. The total amount of degrees in a triangle is 180 degrees. That's just kind of a fact that you will be using a lot more in the future. We have different kinds of triangles that are categorized by their sides as well as their angles. So we have two different ways, and we oftentimes will blend the two descriptions together. So one way to categorize triangles is by the length of their sides and the relationship between the sides. So an equilateral, so I even see like kind of the word equal, they have three equal side lengths. So an equilateral triangle, all three sides are exactly the same. That would be what we call an equilateral triangle. An isosceles triangle has two equal side lengths. The way I used to remember isosceles in the definition there's two S's in isosceles. So I think about two sides being equal. So maybe that will help you and maybe it won't, not sure. And the last type of triangle we could see, so we have 3 equal sides, 2 equal sides, and then you might be thinking, oh, 1 equal side, and it's like, wait, how can you have 1 equal side? That means none of them are equal. So a scalene triangle has 0 equal side lengths, so they will have no tick marks on them. They're kind of funky triangles, perfectly valid, but kind of funky triangles with nothing that's equal to anything else. All right, let's talk about how we can also categorize them using the measure of their angles. So remember, the angles are inside of what is formed between the sides. So an acute triangle has 3 acute angles. So as you can see here, this is really tiny, this is tiny, and this is tiny. Therefore, we call that an acute triangle. A right triangle is one of my favorite types of triangles because there's some really neat, interesting things that happen with right triangles. You're gonna learn in higher grade levels a thing called Pythagorean theorem, and that applies only to right triangles, and it's really interesting and a lot of fun. So right triangles are awesome. They have 1 right angle and 2 acute angles. So it will always have 1 right angle. Remember that box right there? That tells you that's 90 degrees. So that is what we call a right triangle. And then the last option is an obtuse triangle. And that means it has 1 obtuse angle. Remember, obtuse is bigger than a 90-degree angle. It's really big. And it has 2 acute angles. So these ones are tiny, tiny, really big. So this is obtuse right here, which makes the whole triangle obtuse. So what we're going to do now is take both of those descriptions and we are going to describe the triangles by using their sides and their angles. So we're going to have 2 descriptors. I'm going to go, let me jump right in. So here I have no tick marks. So this is indicating to me that it's scalene. There are no equal sides, so that is scalene. And this looks bigger, this angle right here looks bigger than a right angle, so that's obtuse. So this would be an obtuse triangle that is also scalene. All right, here I don't have any tick marks again, so that means this is a scalene triangle, but I have a right angle, 90 degrees. So this is a right triangle. Right triangle. Let's take a look here. I have 2 sides that are equal. That's what we call isosceles. It's always a tough word to spell. Remember the 2 S's in isosceles makes me think of the 2 sides that are equal. They are not showing that, all of these angles look really tiny, so I'll go ahead and call this acute triangles. Equilateral triangles. This is an equilateral triangle because all 3 sides are equal. And it turns out, if we go back to the fun fact that triangles are 180 degrees, it turns out that all of the angles are equal in an equilateral triangle. So 3 equal angles adding up to 180 degrees, that's 180 divided by 3, that's 60 degrees each. So that's just a fun fact. You don't have to know that, but just for those higher achievers, that's a fun fact that it's 60, 60, 60. And those are all, because 60 is less than 90, that's an acute triangle. All right, I have 2 equal sides, that's isosceles. And I see a right angle right here, so it's right and isosceles. And the last one, this is isosceles because there's 2 equal sides. Oops. And this looks like an obtuse angle. It's bigger than the 90-degree angle, so it is obtuse. All right, go ahead and do some extra practice in the workbook for homework and check your answers on the website to make sure you're doing it correctly.